Good morning, my name is Liz Cooper. I'm the Science Live Office Coordinator, and I'm here to show you a little bit about watercolor painting as well as painting with salt techniques. So the first thing you want to have ready is a cup of water and a brush that should come with your kit, as well as a rag, and you should have scooped a teaspoon of each this sea salt and then just table salt and have them in your little containers, and then you should have your watercolor paper ready and your sketch of kind of what you've planned to create. So for these ones, since you're creating a piece that incorporates the Colorado River, I'm going to kind of show you what some of those techniques look like with blue, and I've kind of already started one with you just so that you could see it kind of melting, because depending on how quickly the salt melts, it can kind of change. It can kind of take a minute. So first thing that you need to know about watercolor is in order to get it to work, you need to get your paintbrush wet, and then you need to actually activate the paint by getting the paint wet in your palette. So that will, that's gonna be how you use it. It doesn't come wet, they come kind of dry, and they need to have a little bit of water on. So I'm gonna start by just doing kind of a wash of some blue down here, just so that you can see kind of what it looks like. And then as the water runs out, you'll see that the brush strokes get like a little bit more dry looking. So you do need to kind of keep going back to your water every so often. So get another blue, and then I'm just gonna kind of layer this blue onto what I've done here, kind of blend that in. So however you have designed your image, you should have at least one aspect of it with the Colorado River in it. And using the salt can be a really fun way to get texture and to get some other different elements in there. So after you kind of paint it, and while it is still wet, the fun part comes. You're gonna grab some of your sea salts and you're gonna kind of drop them on to your piece, or set them on, since my piece is kind of buckling. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of the table salt as well, and I'm gonna sprinkle that in. So things that you might have been exploring throughout the rest of the green box are kind of salt and water. So this is kind of a breakaway from that, and to see kind of how salt and water can be utilized to create art. So the salt will dissolve once wet. So since I've got the salt on there, now I'm just gonna add a couple of drops of water onto each piece of salt. And what's gonna happen is the salt is gonna melt, and it's gonna kind of create a design underneath where the salt was. And the smaller salt can be really fun to create. Like, think about like kind of like foam on water, creates like a really cool, fun texture there. But again, it does take kind of a minute for it to melt. So the whole point of having this is just to kind of experiment and to incorporate just some new techniques and materials into your artistic wheelhouse. Keep in mind that watercolor, it is very wet and can bleed together. So if you want to do little details in your creations, make sure to get your paintbrush wet, activate your paint, okay? And then to rinse and dry your paintbrush so that you're working with not as much water, and you'll have this color that's activated, but you won't have so much water on your brush. And then you can go in and create some, like, let's say you wanted to create like some grass along the river. And I know that it's dripping, but honestly, sometimes I kind of like the drips. Plus, I wanted you to see kind of what happens when the salt falls off and how that can create just like some really cool texture. I will encourage you to just kind of adapt to what happens. Let's say that drip didn't exactly go where you wanted to. Let it dry and then come back to it, and maybe you might find a way to get it to be more of what you like. So easy way to create some detailed texture, but if I went in here and tried to do it, it's gonna bleed into it a bit more. Plus I have my salt in there. So the real fun part comes when the salt kind of disappears and you can reveal these cool little little marks in between. So I hope that that is helpful and fun. And I encourage you to look up more videos and experiment with different things and just see kind of what shakes loose in your artistic endeavors, and just take chances and have fun. Okay, thank you.